The flood of 1938 was a big deal. The Santa Ana River, there was no Prado Dam up there. So the river was just a river. And it resumed its original path, which was La Palma Street in Anaheim. So it washed out all of the little community called Atwood and a lot of Anaheim. There was a building in Placentia called the Placentia American Legion Hall. It was a big open building, and they served meals in there to these people who had lost their homes. So our Boy Scout troop, about one day a week, it was our job to go out and serve the meals. Placentia had a one-man police department. The guy's name was Gus Barnes. He was an acquaintance of my parents. He came in one day when we were out there serving food to these mostly Mexican people that had been lost their homes. And he said, I need a guy to come out in my truck with me. Well, I went with him, and we went down to Atwood, and we drove around in his truck, and he was looking for problems. And all of a sudden he spotted this boot sticking up out of the mud. We got out of the truck, and he had a shovel, and we unearthed this guy who had drowned and been covered up with mud there for 3 or 4 days.
Yesterday, December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. The United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked by naval air forces of the Empire of Japan.
I remember that Sunday I was ironing my clothes and getting ready for college the next day, and I hear this on the news, and first it was a shock. I said, no, it couldn't be. And then I was angry, and then right all the way, then the fear. I mean, now where does that put us? You know, now I was, like you say, I was a student, and now I'm actually part of the enemy, because we look like the enemy. Yeah. So that was
that was Pearl Harbor. December 7th.
Right. Yeah.
People were just completely taken aback, because we had a lot of friends of Japanese descent who were from families who were mostly truck farmers out in Buena Park and Cerritos in that area, and they were just friends of ours. You know, they were in class with us, and they didn't know what was happening either, because they were Americans. They were, yeah.
And I was kind of afraid. I said, I don't know if I should go back to school and I have to face all the students. How will they feel? How will they look at me, you know? Soon after that, then we evacuated.
Oh, they were all locked up. I can't remember the dates exactly, but one time they simply disappeared. There was some thought that the Japanese were going to invade Southern California. I think there was one incident where a Japanese submarine pulled up and fired a couple of shots around the Santa Barbara area or something like that. But there was never any danger of Japanese invasion. And there certainly would not have been any danger with these Japanese Americans.
Oh, it was quite a contrast. You know, it's real humid there, and mosquitoes and snakes and everything else, but We had these barracks just like the Army barracks. We had blocks. There were 10 barracks in one block, and in the center was the shower and the mess hall. To me, that shock still stays with me because, you know, I grew up thinking I was an American, born in Norwalk, and then all of a sudden, you're part of the enemy, you know?
Yeah, that's right.
And then they want to put you into a camp. And it was really an emotional thing, and it still is with me.
We're looking for students that would have graduated those years because Assemblyman Frutani, was that his name?
Yeah, Warren Futani.
He had passed a bill that would give us honorary degrees, anybody that was supposed to have graduated that time. And I look at people differently now. Going through this, I said, you know, you judge a person not by their race or their looks, but as a person.
Oh, yes.
And it's a whole different outlook on, I think if more people did that, it'd be a different world, huh?
Yes.
The California dream is the good life. And okay, some of that's weather, climate. Some of that is financial, economic opportunity. And some of that is just the whole idea of change. You're going to get Latinos, we're looking for a better life here. You're going to get Asians, same thing, better life here. You're going to get all kinds of minorities and then all kinds of majorities as well, and you're going to get a very diverse population that's becoming more and more diverse as we speak.
My mother cleaned houses and my father picked avocados and such, but my brothers would go off early in the morning and embark on a truck that would take them to Fallbrook or take them wherever. Maybe it was a one-day job, and they would come back and they'd be exhausted and all that. But I remember my mother making tortillas at 4 in the morning. I could hear her making the burritos that were ready to prepare them for their lunch and take off for the morning. So it was a different world than what it was now. There was segregation, and you could only go to the movies at certain times. You could only patronize certain businesses at certain times, and so it wasn't as easy as it was.
We tried to sign up for a school in La Habra. We were told, no, you don't go to this school, you go to that other school. We went to the other school, which was Wilson School, and we asked, when we saw that everybody there was Mexican or Mexican American, we asked, why are we being sent to this school? And they said, you're being sent to this school to learn English. Well, since my brothers and I already knew English, we were a little bit suspicious, and then found out later that in fact it was a segregated school. We noticed that there were Anglo-American families that lived in houses abutting Wilson School, and they were being sent to the other school that we were told we weren't to attend.
It was simple life, like a little rascal's life that we had in the migrant camp. It was communal showers and outhouses, and people in that part of the neighborhood were all fruit pickers, and so there was never a dialogue about going on to college.
During the Second World War, we used to go to the Central Valley to pick plums and grapes and many other fruits and vegetables for that matter. We would get home sort of late. Even then, there was a sense among many Anglo-Americans that Latinos somehow weren't interested in education. I remember the field foreman, I asked him one time how long he thought the grape season would go on, and he says, why are you asking? I said, well, we get back to school late, we have to work doubly hard to catch up. He looked at me and says, why, you're the first Mexican kid I ever talked with who was interested in education. I remember thinking, well, I guess he hasn't talked to too many Mexican kids about education, but it also made me mad, and I told myself, someday I'm going to go back, I'm going to have my college degree in my left hand and poke him in the nose with my right.
I saw that there was growing gang activity, kids that were not taking the road that I was taking, graduating from high school, going on to college. And it was perplexing to me to realize, why aren't you doing this in this country? This is what your parents came here for, was to achieve the American dream. This is not the American dream that you are pursuing. I was able to say, well, then we can help. I mean, I have enough knowledge that I can help these children with their education. It's basic math and reading and English that I could certainly, and I rallied around the neighborhood. I passed a flyer that said, you know, Corona neighborhood needs you, just like Uncle Sam needs everyone else. We need you here in this neighborhood, and we were able to get all the supplies, dictionaries, pencils, and such that we needed to start the tutoring program. It was great to see how these kids just bloomed and how they had fun coming to the tutoring side, and that was how we were eventually able to phase out the gang activity, because there was more kids hanging out with me than they were out in the street and getting in trouble.
I was perfectly happy in New Mexico, teaching, minding my own business and so on, but it was very hard to say no to an appointment to the Court of Appeal. And then, of course, the governor appointed me to the Supreme Court, and I was the first Latino to be appointed to the Supreme Court, and that was obviously quite exceptional in terms of me personally, but in terms of what it did for the community to diversify the court, to make sure that government looked more like the people that live in California.
It's incredible to see the melting pot that is on this campus. I want to spend the day here and just not go home. I bring kids from Rosie's Garage, and I come here to the library, and they come and read, and they come to get a flavor of life here on this campus. It really is for them an eye-opener, because they're just used to what we call barrios. And when they come here, they look at this and they say, wow. They've even asked me, do they fight here on campus? And I said, no, they don't fight. I mean, people come here and they're ready to reach their goals.